Guided reading, and this is lesson 8 of our guided reading, and we are reading Cole's Kingdom. So far in the story, Cole has found himself in another world. He managed to take the golden seal, which is called the Seal of Furlin. This is the special precious object back from the mouse. However, this wolf has appeared. Seems like some kind of warrior, and it's walking around him, showing its fangs. So let's find out what's going to happen next. The king will be most pleased, she said. So this is the wolf speaking. Her tone was soft, but Cole could still hear a dangerous rumble hidden under the words, "Follow me." Suddenly she was marching off towards the castle gates, and, to Cole's amazement, so was he. He didn't remember making the decision to follow his new and most unusual companion, but his feet seemed to have taken control of his actions. He pocketed the metal disc and exhaled slowly. "It's okay," he muttered to himself. "It's all okay. It's a talking wolf. It's intelligent and won't eat you. It's probably just giving you a tour of the palace. It's fine." As they passed under the arch of the gate, the most incredible phenomenon took place. The land through which he had sprinted minutes ago had been dry, cracked, and dusty. There had been no signs of life, and he had been sure that there could be no water for miles. No sooner had he passed under the great stone archway, however, that the ground beneath his feet turned luscious green, and cool shade fell over his face. "Oh, wow," Cole whispered. The city inside the great walls burst with colour, light, and sensations. Flowers of all kinds decorated the walls like a tapestry, and marble pillars supported the cool shaded balconies. So here, on this photograph, this one that I'm moving now, those are pillars, right? Marble pillars supported cool shaded balconies, and crystalline pools filled stone basins. So crystalline means like crystal. Pools of water are filling stone basins, stone sinks. Mist from a nearby water feature speckled Cole's skin, and he sighed as the thick layer of dust covering his body was swept away by a gentle breeze. So inside of the city walls, it's a beautiful place. Outside, it was all dead and burned. Above everything towered the monumental palace with its marble turrets. And on this picture here, these at the top, let's do a highlighter. These are turrets, okay? Marble turrets, and looking up, Cole saw soft white clouds which seemed to vanish at the boundary wall, as though trapped inside this little oasis. It was, in every way, the complete opposite of the oppressive, stifling heat outside the palace walls. Oppressive means it's keeping you down, keeping your spirits down. But he started, lost for words for the first time in his life. Aye, but how? Cole barely had time to register the well-dressed human inhabitants of the beautiful town before his host had led him up the central path through the town and onto a series of polished steps in the direction of the palace itself. He did a double take as two bowing badgers. Now, for those of you that don't know, this animal is a badger. It lives in our country, in the countryside. Obviously, these don't speak, but in this place, they're bowing, and they're probably wearing clothes as well, like the wolf. Two bowing badgers in blue tunics, so in those blue shirts, heaved the great doors open, and from there it was a short walk down a gleaming hallway to a vast throne room. As he walked, Cole spotted overgrown animals of all types, goats, rabbits, and even a pigeon, bustling through the palace with food, fabrics, and firewood. So they're all working in the palace. Bustling is very busy. They're all going around making this palace into a neat and orderly place. A few stopped in their tracks to look at Cole in interest. Others averted their gaze, so others looked away. When you avert your gaze, you look away. All of them were dressed in fine palace livery. So livery is the clothes that in the olden days people would wear in a palace, all very fancy clothes. "Where am I? What is this place?" Cole asked, staring at the pillars. intricate tiles and vaulted roof. The ceiling was decorated with swirling stars and planets that glittered with gold leaf. Unable to bear the silence that followed his question, he added, "This is a lovely palace, definitely the nicest thing I've seen today." The wolf said nothing, but continued to walk purposefully across the throne room. It was a large open space with a raised dice. And I have a picture of a dice here, a dice. It's this here, right? And you'll have them, there's another one on this side. You have them in the middle of an important room, and you will often put something on them because you want everyone to see it. At one end, and an attached courtyard barely visible on the other, an ornate upholstered chair sat proudly in the centre of the stage. So this impression of this room is a very expensive, luxurious place in a palace. It's full of very precious and old furniture and items, and the walls and the ceilings are decorated very expensively. That's not to say, oh, what was I about to say? The wolf said nothing, but continued to walk purposely across the room. It was a large open space. So Cole has just said, this is a lovely palace, definitely the nicest I've seen today. And then he says, that's not to say you're not lovely. Cole rambled on. You're a lovely wolf, aren't you? Then it occurred to him that the intelligent, sharp-toothed creature might not like being talked to, like the miniature poodle that lived down the end of the street, and he stopped talking. Along the corridor from the throne room stood a pair of heavy doors. Some kind of tree was intricately carved upon them, and they looked old but well polished. The wolf approached and rapped 3 times on the wood. A thin echo bounced down the hallway, and, from beyond the door, footfalls approached. "What's through there?" asked Cole. The wolf ignored his question. "You talk too much, Elseworlder." Elseworlder. Now, if we think about this word, if you are from elsewhere, you come from another place. Somebody else is something different. So this word Elseworlder has been made up for this story. It probably means that you're from another world, Elseworlder. Cole gulped and clamped his jaw shut. He waited, listened to the footsteps growing louder, and bracing himself for something to appear. Bracing himself means getting himself ready for something scary. That was even stranger than badgers in clothes. With a soft creak, the double doors opened. The man who glided into view looked human. He had a pointed white beard and a red velvet waistcoat, and was very tall. He held his hands out to Cole in welcome. "Introductions," said the man with a kind smile. "I am King Enk, and this is my kingdom. And you," he added with a flash of his dark eyes, "you are the one we have been waiting for, Cole." Okay, let's look at this first extract here. The question is, what do Cole's words, "oh wow," suggest about his emotions at this point? Why? As they passed under the arch of the gate, the most incredible phenomenon took place. Phenomenon is some sort of magical or strange thing that happens. Doesn't have to be magical, but in this story it is magical. The land through which he had passed, he had sprinted minutes ago, had been dry, cracked and dusty. There had been no signs of life, and he had been sure that there could be no water for miles. No sooner had he passed under the great stone archway, however, than the ground beneath his feet turned luscious and green. Luscious when we're talking about grass, very green and full of life, and the cool shade fell over his face. "Oh wow," Cole whispered. What do Cole's words, "oh wow," suggest about his emotions at this point? Why? Press pause, answer that, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so Cole is surprised, shocked, because, and the words "oh wow" are an exclamation, because the dry desert has turned to luscious green, and this has surprised him. That's why he says, "oh wow." You have to mention the change from the desert environment to the luscious green environment. Next question. What suggests Cole might be feeling nervous at this point of the story? The wolf ignored his question. "You talk too much, Elseworlder." Elseworlder? Cole gulped and clamped his jaw shut. He waited, listening to the footsteps growing louder, and bracing himself for something to appear that was even stranger than badgers in clothes. With a soft creak, the double doors opened. There are three answers here. You could say he gulped. When people are nervous, they gulp. So when you're drinking, your throat is gulping, but we also do it when we're nervous. That's one example. Two, he clamped his jaw shut. He held his mouth closed. Or he braced himself for something to appear. Those are three examples of how he could be feeling nervous. Next question is, what impression do you have of the king? Support your answer with evidence from the text. So what do you think about the king at this point? Let's read this extract. The man who glided into view looked human. He had a pointed white beard and a red velvet waistcoat and was very tall. He held his hands out to call in welcome. Introductions, said the man with a kind smile. I am King Enk, and this is my kingdom. And you, he added with a flash of his dark eyes, you are the one we have been waiting for. Press pause, answer, then we'll do it together. So, there are a couple of different impressions you might have of him. Now, he held his hands out to welcome Cole. You could say the king was friendly or nice or welcoming because he held his hands out to welcome Cole. Next, it says he had a pointed white beard. You could say he's old because he has a white beard. A red velvet waistcoat, so he's well dressed, or he's expensively dressed, or he's rich because he's wearing a red velvet waistcoat. He's kind because it says he has a kind smile. And he's mysterious because he says you are the one you've been waiting for. So those are a few different examples. So thank you for taking part today. If you have a question because you think you have an answer that I haven't explained, or you think something isn't right, please let me know. Otherwise, thanks for taking part, and I will see you in lesson 9.